to ultimately an even worse decision.
So it's not by happenstance that this happened. It didn't just fall in line. You did it. You're the one who went back that night, because you could have just stopped and you said, well, that's a bad idea, I'm just going to go to bed, and never gone to get that bottle that night.
I wish I would have done that, but again, it was a series of just bad decisions. It wasn't a series of a setup of events. That's not what happened.
And then when you went to the room, you simply could have gotten the bottle and walked away.
I very much wish that would have happened.
And so you're telling us that this still isn't planned when you say, you want to have a nightcap? You want me to pour you one?
It was not planned for me to go into Savannah's room to have an affair. I did not do that.
Now you claim everything at that point was then consensual, correct?
Claim
Everything that happened after that within the hotel room was consensual.
that is correct. Everything was consensual.
Right? And so you believe that, in your mind, this was at the time, a fun and exciting thing to do, correct?
At the time, I really don't know what I was thinking. Obviously, if I would have been thinking, I would not have done it. Fun and exciting does not come to mind at all.
But it was something that you enjoyed, correct?
I mean, if you're asking me if the sexual encounter is something that I enjoyed as a man, then absolutely, you know, I'm like every other man that has ever had a sexual encounter. I mean, at the time, it seems, you know, blissful, but it's the ramifications afterwards that, if you're a married man, that just.
But you didn't face any ramifications immediately afterward.
Personal ramifications I did, spiritual ramifications I did.
But you didn't that night go back to your hotel room and say, oh my gosh, I cheated on my wife, I need to call her and tell her now.
Everything except calling my wife and telling her now, I did.
As a matter of fact, though, even with all the guilt that you say you felt at that point in time, you continued to pursue Savannah.
It definitely sounds like I continued to pursue her, and you know, I don't have any other reasonable excuse for that. The audio tapes and my actions show that I continued to try and pursue a woman that was not my wife.
So you would agree, it's not that it sounds like it, that's the truth. You did pursue her.
No, that's what I just said. It absolutely sounds like it, and that's the only excuse that I have.
And so your guilt wasn't so great that you stopped trying to have a relationship with Savannah.
My wife and I had discussions in the past about if you ever cheat on me or if anything ever happens like that, then it's over. I was absolutely scared to death that my wife was going to leave me when she found out that I had a relationship with Savannah. That was, I was panicked. I was scared. I was concerned that my 20-year marriage that I had already ruined spiritually would absolutely completely crumble, and that was my panic, that was my thought.
So you decided the best way to handle that was to continue in the affair.
You know, if I'm being honest about that, I would say that it was probably the fact that I knew my wife would probably find out at some point, and there was something that I wanted to hold on to in a relationship somewhere, somehow. And if it was Savannah's friendship that I got to keep, or relationship with her because my wife was going to leave me once she found out that I had a divorce, I mean, that's thinking back on it. At the time, that did not cross my mind, but thinking back on it after having a year and a half to reflect, that would be the best answer that I could give.
Sorry, but I'm losing track of your answer. So going back to the question, if you could just answer it. felt at that time the best thing to do was continue to pursue Savannah, because that's what you did.
Like I said just a minute ago,
Please answer yes or no, and then you can explain.
I don't think I pursued Savannah. My thought process at the time was not pursuing Savannah, but yes, absolutely, that's what it sounds like.
It sounds like that because that's what you did, correct?
I obviously continued to attempt to pursue something with Savannah. Yes.
Now, at some point before you parted ways with Savannah that night, you asked her if she was okay, didn't you?
I don't recall asking Savannah if she was okay.
And you did that because she didn't look okay.
I don't recall asking Savannah if she was okay, so I don't remember.
So you're not saying you didn't say that, you're just saying you don't recall saying that.
I don't recall asking Savannah if she didn't look okay. She looked fine when I left.
So again, you don't deny saying it, you just don't recall.
I'm not going to sit on the stand and lie and say that I didn't because I don't recall it. I don't recall asking Savannah if she was okay.
So you may have asked her that.
I may very well have. I don't recall it.
Now, you went to the morning meeting. What time did you get downstairs?
Probably 8:39, somewhere around 8:39 range.
And who was down there when you got down there?
I remember Marcus being down there, and I believe Joker got down there.
And Savannah was not.
Savannah was not.
So when you started the meeting, was that about 9 you started the meeting?
As the best I can recall, it was probably somewhere around there.
So at that point, you basically discussed general budget principles, correct? How the budget works, things like that. That's what they were explaining to you.
It seemed like the beginning of the morning was predominantly them explaining to me how the budget actually worked. It was my first exposure to the actual budget and how it fully functioned, and what the processes were. So that was kind of the gist of the morning conversation.
But Savannah was not down there for any of that.
Savannah was not down there for that.
And you didn't call her to ask her to come down at that point.
I don't remember. I remember her not being there, and I remember the first contact I had with Savannah was when we had decided we were going to get a cup of coffee to come back, and that's the first contact I remember.
All right, and that would have been around a little after 11, correct?
I mean, I don't remember what time. I mean, if it was, I think the text message that from Savannah is around 11.
Around 11, so the text would kind of show you when it would be. It's around 11, it's around 11.
Yeah, that would be right.
And she came, or then y'all started to meet at that point, and she brought the package she had made with her, right?
Savannah met us on the road back to the hotel. We walked up the street to the Starbucks, about a block away. As we were walking back down the street, Savannah was walking up from the hotel, and we turned around and went right back to the hotel and started the meeting.
Well, my question was, she brought the packets with her.
She had to bring the package, yes.
Okay, did she have them with her when she was out on the street?
Not that I remember.
So somehow they were just in the hotel room or in the hotel lobby area somewhere?
I don't remember that. I do remember she did not have them when she walked up the street.
And that would have just been a type of proposal that y'all had put together that the various, I guess, captains or high-ranking officials within your agency have given you requests and you compile them, correct?
Yes, every division submitted, like I said yesterday, a wants and needs list for the budget. And that wants and needs list was compiled into pamphlet form and then submitted as our presentation for each division.
But now while you did this, Savannah didn't take any notes in this meeting, did she?
I hope Savannah took notes in the meeting. That was her job.
But in the SLED investigation as well as the civil discovery, there's no notes of this meeting that anyone could find worthy.
There's no notes of several meetings that she was supposed to take notes of.
All right. So indicate if there are no notes were taken.
If she did not take notes, I did not take notes. So if she didn't take notes, they were probably not taken.
All right. And of course, one of her main responsibilities was to take notes, correct?
Absolutely, that was one of her main responsibilities.
And because you needed to review those notes.
Absolutely.
But you don't ever recall reviewing any notes on this, do you?
No, sir. I don't recall ever reviewing any notes from the meeting.
And Savannah didn't have any budget experience.
Not to my knowledge.
And in reality, Savannah didn't even need to be on this trip, did she?
Savannah was the one who comprised all of the information. She's the one that actually talked to the division commanders when they submitted their requests and information. So she had information that I did not have. It was very pertinent for her to be in Charlotte at that meeting.
Marcus is a state. States Exhibit 22. States Exhibit 22 is the Greenville County Sheriff's Office 2017 salary adjustment proposal. Is that, if you look at that, is that the proposal that you all had in Charlotte with you?
This does look familiar.
So that would have been what she helped prepare.
This is a portion of what she helped prepare, absolutely.
And that proposal is pretty self-explanatory, right, as you read it. It's pretty easy to figure out what the proposals are because they're stated plainly.
Until you get about halfway through, there's just notes, but everything prior to that I'm just looking at initially seemed pretty self-explanatory.
All right. And so, but you understood what all that was, correct?
I understand what it is looking at it closer. I don't understand how we got to these numbers without reading it. It's been 2 years since I've seen this, so.
Well, you had it in the discovery, you never looked at it?
No, I haven't seen this in 2 years.
Not even in the civil case?
I don't recall seeing this in a civil case.
And again, Savannah had no budget experience.
No, not to my knowledge.
You were the one who discussed this with Joe Purnell and the other folks in County Square, right?
Myself, Chief Deputy Davenport, discussed it with them.
Right. Because Savannah really doesn't know things about budgets, so she really couldn't discuss that with them.
Savannah could not discuss anything related to a budget that she didn't have experience in. However, that was the purpose, to get her experience so that when we put our budgets together, we would know.
But when it came down to it then, she didn't take notes, she didn't present this to anybody other than giving the actual paperwork, so she didn't really need to be in Charlotte, did she?
Savannah needed to be in Charlotte because there are things in that document that they may not need to be written down when she had conversations with people when they were submitted to her. Like I said, there were wants and needs, so a lot of times there may have been things that I did not know about. Savannah's also really good about reminding me about things when we would go to meetings or when things would happen. So it was perfect for her to be there, especially if she was going to continue to stay as my assistant and move forward, because I think it's very important that she had a working knowledge of the budget.
She had already discussed this with you before you went there, didn't she?
I do not recall her discussing with me anything other than collecting it and then having it put together.
But you just said it was you and Marcus Davenport that talked to them about the budget and about this, correct?
That's correct.
So obviously you had a clear understanding of what this was.
I did have an understanding of what we were trying to achieve. I knew what we were going for, what our ultimate goals were, how we were going to get there, how the salaries were actually increased, where the money was going to come from. I didn't know.
And Savannah was unnecessary to be there.
I do not think that Savannah was unnecessary to be there.
And really the only reason you brought Savannah there was so you could try this whole, put the bottle in the suitcase, have a nightcap, get her to take it to her room, go and get it, offer her a drink, and try to seduce her. Isn't that correct?
That is incorrect.
That's the Interstate Exhibit number 22 in evidence.
No objection.
Now, after Savannah joined in, you all broke for lunch, came back from lunch, and met for a little while longer. And I believe you broke around 2 to 3 p.m., is that correct?
I don't remember. It was later in the afternoon when we broke.
All right. Do you remember giving prior sworn testimony regarding this?
No, I don't remember giving a prior sworn testimony to that.
This is a copy of the transcript, sworn testimony.
All right.
You go to the first tab,
First time.
and it's going to be, I believe, page 235. There's a highlighted portion there. You're welcome to read the whole paragraph for yourself, but it's not all relevant to what we're talking about here.
Do you mind if I flip it?
Certainly. As I'm looking at starting at line 18,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to read it for context. Go ahead and then tell me when you're ready.
Okay.
And you had been asked right before this question how much time you would spend on the trip, or how much time you had actually been meeting and talking about the budget, correct?
This response is to a question, obviously about how long we spent.
Okay. And on line 18, as part of that answer, you said we went to, the restaurant that we went to was more of a gastro pub kind of restaurant. And there was pizza, burgers, and that kind of stuff. We met all through that. We came back from that, continued to talk, broke about, I don't remember, we broke about mid-afternoon, maybe 3, 2, 3. We went upstairs, and what some probably did was use a session to take a nap. Others used as kind of a wash-up, clean up, get ready to meet back out for dinner that evening. Okay, so does that refresh your memory that you probably ended sometime between 2 and 3?
Yes, 2 and 3.
And so,
But I also said I don't remember. We broke mid-afternoon, maybe 2, or maybe 3, 2 or 3.
all right.
That was it.
So you're remembering it a little different today, but you're saying it was later than that, correct?
No, I said I don't remember exactly.
Okay, but that would be more accurate. That was taken a while back, correct?
I would assume I didn't remember then because I said I don't remember that.
And you recall that the restaurant one of the restaurant receipts shows that you all finished up there. Someone's packing them up. I believe you all finished up there from the fire things, Rooster's wood-fired chicken, correct?
I remember a rooster.
Kitchen, not chicken.
I remember a rooster being on the wall when we were there. Yes.
And so that would be from State's Exhibit number 14 that you looked at earlier.
Correct.
I believe the time on that is 2:12 when you all were checking out.
Table 51, 1, 2:12 p.m.
All right. So you didn't meet much longer after you went back to the hotel, correct?
If we left at 3 o'clock, then it didn't seem that way.
All right. And now, again, you don't recall at all trying to contact Savannah when she did show up downstairs?
I don't remember that, no. When she didn't show up initially, or are you asking?
Yeah,
about
initially,
the call?
you didn't,
No, I do not recall.
didn't give you any concern that there was something wrong?
I mean, no, I mean, I just assumed she had slept in, because we've been out late the night before.
Did you and Savannah talk that day at all about what had happened the night before?
I honestly don't remember, but I'm certain that we probably did.
But you don't remember that conversation?
I don't remember the conversation that we had.
All right. So that night, that second day, did you go back to your room and take a nap after that?
I did not. I did not go take a nap.
Where did you go?
I went back to my room, but I did not take a nap. Washed up, cleaned up, probably made some, phone calls back towards the house and whatever, and then came back downstairs.
And then y'all went to dinner?
We reconvened in the lobby, and we started walking, looking for a place to eat dinner. Yes,
And that was all six of you, everyone who went to shop, correct?
to the best I can recall. I mean, we all were there.
And at dinner, y'all had more drinks that night?
At dinner, we did drink.
All right. And then after dinner, went to another bar?
We did.
All right. But on the way to that bar, you stopped off, correct?
I did.
And you went to CVS?
I did.
And you said you bought Advil?
I bought Advil and took some cash out.
All right. And you not only bought Advil, you bought some personal lubrication at that point.
No, I did not.
You're denying that you went to CVS and bought personal lubrication?
And I'm denying that I went to Advil, or went to CVS and bought personal lubrication. I bought Advil.
But you even remember how many were in the bottle, don't you?
It seemed like it was one of the 80 things. The reason I remember it is because when we brought it back from, Charlotte, I actually put it in my office. And it sat on the counter in the bathroom in my office, and it sat there for a while.
If you look back again at that transcript, this time go to page 273.
273. You got it. I'm sorry. Okay.
And beginning at line 1, you're asked, did you the following day purchase personal lubricant? And your answer was, not that I can recall, correct?
That's correct.
And they asked you about what you purchased at CVS, and you said, I went to CVS and got a bottle of Advil, 100-count bottle of Advil, and I think I took out $50 in cash, maybe, and that's all I got.
Correct.
And they said, so you don't deny that you purchased any personal lubricant that the day after the first night in Charlotte? And you told them, I told you I don't remember that. So you're not denying that you bought it, you don't remember if you bought it.
No, I'm telling you I didn't buy it. And at this particular point, I don't, remember doing that is the same thing as no, I didn't do that.
Well, it hasn't been that way so far in our questioning, has it? Because you said that other things, like for instance, something that Savannah might have said, or you talked about with Savannah, you said, I may have talked about that, I don't remember though.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think I would have remembered buying a bottle of lubricant at
So clearly by your answer, you didn't say, no, I did not do that. You said, I don't remember.
I think I would have clearly remembered buying a bottle of lubricant from the CVS pharmacy and carrying it around in my pocket for the remainder of the evening. So no, I did not buy lubricant at CVS pharmacy. I did buy Advil at CVS pharmacy though. Carried that around in my pocket.
You also remember sending a 3 a.m. text to Savannah that second night, but you said you didn't remember that either.
No, I do not remember sending a text message to Savannah at 3 a.m.
But clearly you sent it.
Clearly I sent a text message to Savannah.
Yes, we have it in evidence. The text message, me, being sent to Savannah a little after 3 o'clock in the morning.
I don't remember sending that text message yet.
Right. But clearly you sent it because it came from your phone. You had your phone, didn't you?
Clearly my phone was hooked up to Savannah's iPad as well. So, I mean, that
Oh, so she's controlling your phone through her iPad?
she very well could have. I'm not saying that's what happened.
Please.
I'm not
Is
telling
that
you
your
that.
excuse? You're going to say that? If you thought that was true, you'd have it investigated, wouldn't you?
I am not. in fact, accusing that. What I'm saying is.
You said it, therefore you accused
Yeah,
it.
you need to be allowed to finish your sentence.
What I'm telling you is that I do not remember sending a text message to Savannah at 3 a.m. for any purpose at all.
But you say she might have done it with her iPad.
I did not say she might have done it. What I said was, Savannah, my cell phone was hooked up to Savannah's iPad as well. Therefore, she could receive my messages on the county iPad from the county computer. So that's all I can tell you.
But the message came from your phone.
Okay, I don't know the significance of how an iPad sending a message through a phone number works. I don't know any of that, but so.
So all the other text messages you're sure are correct except for that.
There were many, many times that my phone was given to Savannah during the course of a meeting, during something that was going on. So she may very well have sent a response to a text message for me. So I'm not going to say that I sent them.
She didn't have your phone that night, did she? You had your phone.
I would have had my phone in my room, yes.
And this is the first time you've ever said anything like that. You didn't say that in any of this sworn testimony you had before, did you?
No, sir, I did not. Not something that I recalled.
Because it's not true and it can't be true. Isn't that correct?
It is true, and I know that you can hook up a cell phone up to an iPad or a computer.
And then you would have had it investigated. If that happened to you, you would have it investigated, wouldn't you? Because you were the sheriff. You know how that stuff works, don't you?
I don't know what would have been the purpose to have it investigated at that particular moment. I have no clue why. I just saw the text message in the last couple of days, or maybe since the deposition.
So between early March of 2017 and now, you wouldn't have seen any reason to have that investigated.
I don't see any need to. I don't understand why you're asking about an investigation into a text message that says me. If there's nothing criminal about it, you don't conduct an investigation.
I thought you've been charged. You wouldn't do it to defend yourself?
I would hope that since the state's responsibility is to not prove guilt but prove justice, I would hope that the state would have looked into that accordingly, since they have the resources to actually look into it. They had a cell phone technician up here on the stand. I would hope that they would have done that.
And y'all could ask him about it, couldn't you? And you didn't.
We very well could have asked about it.
And you didn't because you know it's not true and you would be blown out of the water.
I don't know that that's true, but
Now, I believe you said that second night you didn't go to Savannah's room at all, correct?
I do not.
You would go in the deposition, page 279. And in the deposition, are you there?
Yes, sir. I am.
On line 8,
Yes.
you're asked, did you go to Savannah Neighbors Hotel Room the second night in Charlotte? You said, I don't recall going to her hotel room the second night. Then they ask you, so you're not saying you did not go to her hotel room. You're just saying, as we sit here today, you do not specifically recall going to her hotel room. And your answer is, yeah, I don't remember going up there at all. Correct?
Yes.
And then they ask you, and she testified yesterday that you were in here and that you had gone to her hotel that second night. Is that your testimony today, that she was lying when she said when she said that, or are you just saying you don't recall either way? And your answer was, no, I don't. I don't remember going in her room at all the second night. And that was your answer, correct?
Yes.
So what you're saying is, in this, is that you don't recall going to the room. You're not saying you didn't, you just don't recall.
I didn't go to the room the second night.
But what you're saying there is you don't recall going to the room. You never said you didn't go, you just said I don't recall.
I explained earlier, I mean, I don't recall, I didn't go to her room. I mean, my response is in this, the I don't recalls, like I said, were, I didn't go.
As a police officer, when you interview a defendant,
Uh-huh.
and he gives you an I don't remember answer,
Mhm.
and you ask the same question that I'm asking,
Mhm.
you say you don't remember, you're not saying you didn't do it, you're just saying you don't remember if you did it. And you get him to clarify that, don't you? You have him answer straight one way or the other. And so you would know as a police officer that you need to clarify this and make it straight, correct?
And I just did.
You're saying you did now understand, but in this transcript, you just said, I don't remember.
There's a follow-up question.
They asked you 3 times, and you said, I don't remember.
And then if you go down to page 280, it says, okay, were you drunk the second night, was the question. I said, no. Then the next question is, so Savannah has indicated that you came to her room and told her, hands off, I swear to God, I won't touch you. Just let me stay. Is that your testimony that that was a lie? Yes, that was my testimony. That was my answer.
Yeah, that you didn't say that. You're not saying,
That you came
your
to her
direct question is
room.
whether you went to the room at all. You said, I don't know.
In this civil deposition, that is the answer. I don't know. I'm telling you, I did not go to her room that night. And then they asked me again on page 280, and they asked me, was it a lie? And I said, yes.
Well, it didn't just ask you whether coming to the room was a lie. They asked you what you said when you came in the room. That was what their question really was.
So
you said that was a lie. So
would you like me to answer the question?
I don't know that you ever will answer the question.
I just
That's the
answered the
problem.
question. So again, the question says, so Savannah has indicated that you came to her room and told her, you came to her room and told her, hands off, I swear to God, I won't touch you. Just let me stay. Is it your testimony that that was a lie? Yes.
Right, because they've added in an extra element at that point, above whether you went in the room.
It's one question. I said she's a lie.
It's
It
a
is a lie.
compound question. They asked you specifically, did you go in the room? And you said, I don't remember. That was your answer to that question.
That is the
specifically
answer in this
3
deposition.
different times.
That is the answer to this deposition. When they asked me, was she lying? I said, yes.
And that's not what my question is to you today. You're not answering the question. You're avoiding it. Like you're avoiding all the questions because you know if you answer the questions correctly, you look guilty because you are guilty, right?
Unfortunately, I'm afraid that I'm not answering the questions the way that he wants to hear them answered. And that's the problem. I think the problem is he's not getting the answers that he
How is
wants.
that an answer to my
because
question
he's
right
looking
now?
for a guilty, and I'm not.
How is that an answer to my question right now? The question that was submitted to you there was very simple. Did you go in the room that night? Did you go in the room that night? You said, I don't remember. And you answered that 3 times that way, correct?
I said, I don't recall going to her hotel room the second night, and then my answer was, yeah, I don't remember going up there at all. Then I said, no, I don't remember going to her room the second night, and then the part that you didn't highlight says, ask the question about, was it a lie? Did you go to her room? Was it a lie? And I said, yes.
There's another time. You have used that phrase, what was it, hands off, before? Is that what they asked you in the question?
Hands off, yeah.
I believe that's 11.2 on the recording, is that correct?
Am I done with these, sir?
What's that?
Am I done with these?
flip from the 11th phone call.
Michelle, which recording is this?
Number 11.
Hands off. Here's mine. This is mine. I didn't leave that. For the community. That's cool.
What's cool? Well, what?
No, that's cool. I get it. I understand. I get it. I get it. I'm saying that's cool. Like I understand. I understand. That specific moment is now was complete clarity.
I'm glad you have clarity. That's great.
I mean, I get where you are now. I get it.
Because of a hug?
Because
Like, see, you read into everything.
no. 2 weeks ago, when you know, it was here. And I understand.
I'm broke.
I know. Now I see. Now I get it. Now I understand. That's what I'm telling you. It's cool. I understand it now. I understand how broken you are. And you're as broken as I am. But more so. And
I lose everything, Will.
I
You keep everything you have, and I lose everything.
That started off with hands off, right? It's a phrase you use.
It's a phrase that I used that time, yes.
Yeah. And ultimately that was when Savannah was leaving, the day she left.
Yes.
She was at the office with you and having everyone parting ways at that point.
That's correct.
And you went to give her a hug and commented that the hug wasn't like it usually was. It wasn't here. In other words, you're motioning, you didn't touch in certain places when you hugged. It wasn't the normal hug.
I don't know what I was motioning to, the normal hug. I very specifically remember that when she hugged me that day, when she left, I very specifically remember her being just kind of, she was obviously hurting, and that's hence the rest of the conversation. I knew that she was broken, I knew that she was hurting.
And it was kind of a standoffish hug.
I don't know that it was a standoffish hug. I don't know what a standoffish hug is. I mean, we hugged. I don't know.
Right, and you described in that the hug was not here, or that it's usually here, something to that effect.
It was not an emotional hug as she hugged me before as a friend. When she would give me a hug or when she would put her arm around me or something along those lines, it was very different. She was withdrawing this way.
And I think that's what I wrote down. It was different. It was not the normal hug you would expect.
No, it was not.
Now, you joined back up with them after going to CVS, right?
I did.
And you had gotten the Advil because you kind of drank too much the night before, right? You had a headache from that?
No, every hotel room I've ever stayed in my entire life, I get a headache when I go and sleep in the hotel room. Don't know why. It's the air or it's the non-circulation or something. But if I go to a hotel room and sleep, I always have a headache. And I had a headache the next day. I had a headache the day after I stayed in the hotel room that night. I had a headache the day that I left from base basic training.
So you didn't plan enough ahead to bring the Advil that you always need?
And I wish I would have. I didn't.
But you did plan enough ahead to bring the Jack Daniels that you like to have at night?
I did put the Jack Daniels in my car. Yes.
Now that second night, again, you said, you're telling us now you did not go to that hotel room, correct? The first hotel room.
That's correct.
But, as we talked about earlier, it was kind of an exciting night for you the night before. And you're telling me that the second opportunity you have, the second night, you don't try anything to get back with her?
I don't know what opportunity you're talking about. Like I said before, I was more than, at that point, I was more than just disappointed in myself and everything that I had done in violation of my relationship. I've never done anything like that. So I didn't, it was just bad.
So you continued to pursue her and try to get with her later on, but that second night, right after the first night, which, you know, theoretically we would all believe is the most exciting night, you won't even go back trying to be with her again the second night.
I did not
You didn't talk about that at all?
talk
With
about,
about getting together that night?
did not talk about getting together with her that night. No.
And so, if it was a wonderful experience for her, well, does she want to get back with you the next night?
Savannah was married as well, so I'm assuming that, you know, she probably felt the same guilt that I did for having an affair.
And ultimately, she rebuffed her advances after that. She never did submit to you again for sleeping together, did she?
I don't recall ever trying to sleep with Savannah again.
The whole Reno thing, you're forgetting that? Trying to get her to Reno to sleep with you?
How about you meant like a direct moment? Yeah, she rebuffed she did rebuff it, but she actually said, yeah, I mean, hell yeah, I'll go to Reno if I can.
But during the course of that conversation, it became clear she did not want to go to Reno if it was going to be a sexual relationship.
And during the course of that conversation, I told her that that was fine.
But then you kept trying to convince her to go and stay with you in the same room.
I did.
Let's talk about, in the sheriff's department, Marcus and Stacy, please. So the stakes is at number 23. This is General Order 109, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that is the sexual, racial, religious, ethnic harassment policy.
It is.
And it defines what harassment is, correct? It's right in the middle of the first page, harassment defined.
Give me a second, I'm sorry. Yes, I see it. Yes, harassment becomes unlawful where? Is that what you're referring to?
Where it says,
I'm trying
it says
to.
harassment defined, it was the very first page.
Would you mind pointing that to me? What are you talking about?
Harassment.
Oh, right there. Sorry. Big bold letters. I was looking inside the paragraph. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Would you read that first paragraph of the definition of harassment for us, please?
While it is not easy to define precisely what harassment is, it certainly includes slurs, don't know what that word is, epithets, threats, derogatory comments, unwelcome jokes, teasing, and other similar verbal or physical conduct of an offensive or unwelcome nature. Would you like for me to continue?
Yes, please.
Harassment becomes unlawful where enduring the offensive conduct becomes a condition of continued employment. The conduct is severe or persuasive enough to create a work environment that a reasonable person would consider intimidating, hostile, or abusive.
I believe you actually skipped an important word in there.
Tell me which one I skipped.
The word or, because it says number one,
Or.
harassment becomes unlawful where, number one, enduring the offensive conduct becomes a condition of continued employment,
Mhm.
or, number two, the conduct is severe or pervasive enough to create a work environment that a reasonable person would consider intimidating, hostile, or abusive.
Correct.
And when it comes down to it, when we look over the course of your dealings with Savannah neighbors as she worked there at the sheriff's department, it becomes clear she felt the necessity to leave the sheriff's department because of your advances towards her. Isn't that correct?
I don't know why she left, but that's been her explanation, yes.
But of course, we see she left right when all these tapes occur where you're trying to convince her to go to Reno, correct?
Where the first tape was the Reno conversation, yes, sir.
Right, well, I mean, it even refers to it in some of the others, correct?
I'd have to go back, but it may very well.
And it's clear to you that she does not want to go and have a sexual relationship at that time, correct?
It is not clear to me that she does not, but we never had another sexual relationship.
But she did clearly say she was uncomfortable doing that, right?
She said that she was uncomfortable sharing a room in Reno. That is correct.
And she was uncomfortable, she wanted to have a relationship that was the fun things that you do as part of the job, but not have sex involved.
That's correct. And I told her that the sex was not necessary and that was not a part of the job.
And you also told her that some of her responsibilities, or you use different words for it, but other things would change as a result now of her wish not to have a personal relationship.
Not because of the personal relationship. When I became aware that Savannah felt uncomfortable with it, then it was time to change some job details, and I think that she understood that in the second audio when I was in my driveway at my parents' house. In the audio itself, you hear, I think that's the audio where you hear me explain to her and that I understand. Things are going to change, and she says, look, if going out of town with you is doing those things is not going to be a part of what we do, then I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. And I was, I was okay with that as well. So.
Court's indulgence, one moment. Ask that we play part of the recording 9.2. So it would be the 9th transcript.
To come back or not, I need to know what you mean by readjust these things.
I think we're gonna have to play by ear, don't you? I mean, I'm charged territories about that. So, don't you think we probably need to work that out? See if it's something we can do? I mean, if it's not, then, if you're not willing to, I can't give you all the answers right now, because I don't know, working your life, working for me with you back, you may come back, you will complete the sexual relationship that you're looking for, and you may absolutely decide, which seem to be the indicator of that. And that's, that's exactly what it is. So,
Professional and not cussing me out in front of employees, Will. That's what I despised about that. When you said what you said in front of Blue, that's what I despise about that. I don't despise you not like It was that I despised. I don't understand what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
It wasn't professional. You were pissed off, and it was inappropriate still. So I don't understand. Like,
Okay. Well, I'll absolutely not need that picture. No, absolutely will not picture.
So, just to address that last part of it, you had said you had never cussed out Savannah in front of anyone before, correct?
I don't think I cussed her out. I probably cussed at her in front of someone before, but cussing her out, I mean, that.
So cussing at her and cussing her out are different to you,
Cussing at her and cussing her out is different.
okay? But you, in here, said you won't do that again. So you admit you at least cussed at her, not cussed
I
her
did, I
out.
cussed at her. I very specifically remember the conversation that I cussed at her in the office.
And at the beginning of this conversation, you're saying you have to readjust a few things regarding what her duties would be. And you said, I'm gonna have to readjust a few things. And she asked you, like, how are we gonna do that? What is it gonna be, or something to that effect? And you said you didn't know. You have to figure that out.
Yes, I said that we would have to figure out what the readjustments were gonna be, absolutely.
Okay. So you, as a result of her not wanting to have a sexual relationship, were readjusting what her duties would be.
No, she had expressed to me at this point that, I believe by this point, she had talked about, she didn't know if she was coming back or not. When we started to talk about it, there were some adjustments that were gonna have to be made. That didn't include her not being able to go to the shooting events or anything along those lines. But
But you don't clarify that in here, do you?
I do not, I don't clarify it in there. I just said some adjustments had to be made.
As a matter of fact, you said you didn't know what all the adjustments would be.
That's what I said.
And in addition, one thing we didn't cover in Charlotte at this point was that you picked her up in a fireman's carrier, right?
That's correct.
And that literally takes, as you said, grabbing down by the ankles and I guess up around the neck or.
I never said that. Somebody else said that.
Okay, well, what does it take for you to do it?
Normally what you do is, you go down and you'll grab by the leg area, the upper thigh kind of area, not by the ankle, and, you'll kind of lean over, grab somebody by their arm, and while you're leaning back, you're kind of pulling them over your shoulder, and they'll kind of go over your shoulder.
All right. And she didn't ask you to do that, did she?
No, she did not. We had joked about it before, but she did not ask me to do it, no.
But joking about it is much different than actually physically grabbing someone and jerking them off the ground and trying to lift them above your shoulders.
You can put it that way, but that's not how it happened.
You had to move her body from standing on the ground to being on your shoulders, correct?
That is correct.
Without her request to do that.
Yeah, that is correct.
And so that falls as well into your harassment policy as unwanted physical touching. Does it not?
If it's unwanted physical touching, it falls within that, yes.
And so you smiled. You think this was a wanted physical touching? She
No.
wanted you to do that?
No, we were joking about it beforehand, and the joke was, I'm too heavy, you can't pick me up. And then, I tried to do it when we got outside of the pub.
And again, as the leader of the sheriff's department, with a subordinate, especially a young female, very bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously was not a good idea because I didn't quite make the pickup. I almost fell, she almost fell.
Oh, because you didn't make it. That's why it's a bad idea? It's not a bad idea to do it just for any reason at that point?
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it, it's absolutely a bad idea.
And as well, ultimately, you would agree that you put Savannah Neighbors in a position where a reasonable person would believe you created a hostile work environment for her.
No one has ever used hostile work environment leading up to anything that was in Savannah's blog post. I don't remember anyone telling me from Human Resources, the directors that were there that night that witnessed what happened. No one ever said, whoa, that's a hostile work environment, you need to stop. And again, I perceived it as a joke. It obviously was not, and that's no excuse for a violation of policy. But if it were, that's how I perceived it at the time. But you know, if she felt it was unwanted, then that's what the policy says.
Apparently you're misunderstanding my question. I'm not just asking about the physical contact with her there with the fireman's apron.
Okay.
I'm talking about all of this from the point of everything that happened in Charlotte, all the way through the end where you're trying to get her to go to Reno to have sex with you. You created a hostile work environment for Savannah neighbors where she had to work because she was always afraid of the fact that you would be making some move to advance the relationship she did not want to have.
I do not believe it was a hostile work environment. I do believe, in fact, it was a violation of the sexual harassment policy.
Okay, so you believe you sexually harassed her.
I believe the way this general order is written, per this definition, I violated this policy of the Greenville County Sheriff's Office, which is not a crime, but a policy violation, and one that you could potentially be terminated for from the Sheriff's Office. And so I did break that.
And in fact, while you were sheriff, you terminated at least one other deputy for a sexual harassment policy violation.
I remember us having an issue with multiple people. I don't recall if anybody got terminated, and I don't want to bring their name out.
I don't want to either, and I don't plan to, but I
Okay.
can show you the paperwork.
Okay, would
so
you mind?
can
That'd be great.
refresh your memory.
That'd be great.
of your attorney.
Sir, am I done with the audio for now?
Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
This is a disciplinary action. The last page is the actual dismissal as a summary of what occurred. And I believe the allegation has something to do with sending sexually related photographs to another person within the department.
I do remember this.
He was found to be guilty of sexual harassment, in other words, violating this policy of the sheriff's department.
Sustained, as in the investigation disclosed sufficient evidence to support the allegations in the complaint. Would you mind if I flipped over the complaint? I do very specifically remember, but I just need refreshing.
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay. Yes, sir. This is the one that I thought it was. Absolutely.
And your signature is on that last page that terminates his employment, correct?
That is correct.
So while you were sheriff, you did terminate people for violation of the policy.
We terminated this person for violation of the sexual harassment policy. That's correct. But he wasn't charged with a crime or anything.